Today on Something's Happening Here, we start a new week with a new topic, exploring something that is near and dear to every single one of us, which is our health. Especially in light of the global health crisis of the last 3 years, maintaining our health seems like it's more important than ever before. Also, did you know that maintaining your health can be a spiritual exercise and even a form of worship if you let it? Now, if that sounds strange to you, then I'm glad that you are here today as we begin our topic of the week, called Life More Abundant. I'm Steve Hicks. Welcome to Something's Happening Here. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm glad that you're starting your week with us here on Something's Happening Here. And last week was a really big episode, wasn't it? And if you haven't seen last week's episode, I suggest you go back and check it out. It was our show on the mark of the beast. So if you did make it through that one, then welcome back. We're going to take a little bit of a breather this week, give us some space before we tackle something like that again. And but hopefully this will not just be a passive week for you. This is something that is super duper important. It affects every one of us because every one of us has to live with our own bodies. For better or worse, right? Whether they're broken or not, we have to live with them. So what does the Lord teach us and expect of us in that regard? We're going to talk about that today and all week long in several different ways. So to begin our discussion, we're going to start rather broad. And I'm going to go to this article here. It's actually from Harvard. Harvard published this in July of 2022, so it is February now of 23, so that's 7-8 months ago or so. It's relatively recent, and the title is Spirituality Linked with Better Health Outcomes and Patient Care. So this may not be a surprise to you, because we've seen topics like this and headlines like this with increasing frequency over the past few years. And so maybe I say that and you're like, oh yeah, I knew that already, right? That's why I go to church, or that's why I believe in God, or whatever like that. But certainly not everybody is on the same wavelength in that regard. And so to begin our discussion on health, we have to start here. This idea that even our medical establishment, even our medical doctors are realizing that there is room for spirituality. There's room for belief in the medical treatment of a person. And even, as we're going to see, there's room for that in maintaining health, not just recovering health, but to stay healthy in the first place. So let's read from the article here. It says, spirituality should be incorporated into care for both serious illness and overall health, according to a study led by researchers at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and Brigham and Women's Hospital. This study represents the most rigorous and comprehensive systematic analysis of the modern-day literature regarding health and spirituality to date. And then a sentence later, it continues by saying, our findings indicate that attention to spirituality in serious illness and in health should be a vital part of future whole person-centered care, and the results should stimulate more national discussion and progress on how spirituality can be incorporated into this type of value-sensitive care. Now I'm going to jump down here to about halfway down in the article, maybe 40% of the way down, and this article gets to the results of this study that they're talking about here. It says, the researchers, noted that for healthy people, spiritual community participation, as exemplified by religious service attendance, is associated with healthier lives, including greater longevity, less depression and suicide, and less substance use. For many patients, spirituality is important and influences key outcomes in illness, such as quality of life and medical care decisions. Consensus implications included incorporating considerations of spirituality as part of patient-centered healthcare and increasing awareness among clinicians and health professionals about the protective benefits of spiritual community participation. There's a lot of big words in that. You can tell it was written by Harvard, right? But what it is communicating to us in kind of normal English is that if you go to church, statistics show that you're going to probably live a healthier life. There's a strong correlation there. It's so strong that the people at Harvard, and Harvard's not the only ones, the medical establishment broadly is beginning to see it as a causation, not just a correlation. It's interesting that they're measuring this by like church attendance or synagogue attendance or some sort of community-based faith expression, which I guess should make sense because medical science is going to have a hard time quantifying God, right? But they can quantify religious service. You spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a week with your community of people, makes you feel whole, makes you feel welcome, makes you feel at ease, reduces your stress, all these things. And that is an easier metric to gauge and to judge than how well a person knows God. But I personally, and here on Something's Happening Here, we're cutting right through that and going straight to how well you know God. Because I have been going to church long enough. In fact, I have been a leader in the church for long enough to know that just because you show up once a week doesn't really mean anything. You know, you want to come, you want to sing some songs, you want to shake some hands, you want to eat a good meal. That's fine. You're welcome to do that. But those things all by themselves are not going to have an automatic effect on the way you live. I believe the real power here that Harvard is discussing is less so to do with your community, although that is important, but less so to do with the fact that you go to church and more so to do with the fact that you've allowed the Lord and the ideas and the principles that come from the Lord to impact your life, to affect you, to dictate the choices that you make in terms of how you spend your time, the things and foods that you put in your body, the friends you associate with, even all the way down to like the kinds of entertainment that you allow into your brain and into your body. Because as we're going to see tomorrow, all of those things have an impact. Tomorrow I'm going to share with you, not a secret. This is not a secret. It's increasingly commonly known in our world today, but it is still a bit of a secret. It's a new study. It's a new medical study, and I'm just going to share with you not only what it is tomorrow, but how it affected me personally. And we're going to see how all of these different factors of life can all come together in one kind of way of making us healthier or maintaining our health. So, one more piece from the Harvard article here, because we are unashamedly Christian here on Something's Happening Here. But Harvard noted that the 27-member panel was composed of experts in spirituality and healthcare, public health, or medicine, and represented a diversity of spiritual/religious views, including the ever so increasingly common spiritual but not religious, and atheist, and Muslim, and Catholic, and various Christian denominations, and Hindu. And before we go on, I just have to point out, Catholic is a Christian denomination. So I'm always kind of surprised when Catholic gets its own category over here that's apart from Christianity broadly. I'm just historically speaking. The reality is, without the Catholic Church, there would be no other Christian denominations. And so, I don't know, that's just a little editorial choice that strikes me. Always a little surprised when Catholics get segregated out into their own category. But my point in going through that is to say that it's not just a belief in the Christian God or the Christian ideas of God that lead to these health outcomes. We're seeing that the kind of concept of spirituality opens you up to things that are bigger and broader than yourself. So obviously, if you believe the kind of biblical paradigm that we see in Ecclesiastes 9, verse 5, that the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, which is the position we kind of take repeatedly here on this show. That is a very different understanding of life and a very different understanding of God than, say, the Hindu understanding of reincarnation. Right? So you will be reborn as something else later on. Those are radically different ideas. They are so different they cannot coexist. And yet, we're seeing from the pen of Harvard here that the health outcomes are similar, because we're wading into theology a little bit here, but because the Bible is pretty clear there's only one God. So it's not like the Christian God is over here in this corner of heaven, and then the pantheon of Hindu gods are over here in this other corner of heaven. No, there's one God. And every so-called God that we understand here in the world are just different understandings of the only true God. Some of them are more accurate than others, obviously. And like I just said, the ideas are frequently contradictory, so they both can't be true at once. But God is bigger than our limited understanding, isn't he? Of course. And so when we plug into just the spiritual realm, what we're automatically doing, regardless of the flavor of spiritual realm that we're looking at, what we're automatically doing is rejecting the kind of materialistic point of view. We recognize there is more to life than just what I can see and hear and feel and taste and touch, right? And so when we elevate our own minds into that realm, we allow ourselves to wrestle with and consider things that our natural world may not present to us. I see we have just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to close with a testimony today. I'll tell you more about this tomorrow, but I have been living with a chronic condition for more than 10 years now. And when I was first diagnosed with it, I was really scared. I was already a practicing Christian. In fact, I was even already a pastor. But even still, I had never encountered anything like this before. It was very scary to me. And when people that I knew and loved and trusted began to approach me with these kind of spiritually minded approaches to combat the condition, I at first was very resistant. I said, no, I'm already pretty healthy. I already do this and this and this and this and this, and then this condition happened to me anyway. So clearly doing those things are not the way out, and I just want the doctor to tell me what to do. Give me the drugs, give me the medicine, make me better. And I'm happy to report that mentality did not last in me for very long. So I encountered a number of people and experiences, which I will share tomorrow a little bit, that changed the way that I thought about this. And when your mind changes, everything in your life changes with it, to follow it. So that's what I want to start our discussion with this week. You want to be healthier. You want your body to be stronger. You want to live in such a way that that can be the life more abundant that Christ Jesus offers you and promises you in John chapter 10, verse 10. And so with that, we know that we're going to have to allow God to touch our minds, right? To change the way that we think about our bodies, to change the way that we think about disease and conditions like this. So we're going to commit that to God, and then we're going to see you again tomorrow. When we get a little bit more specific, we talk more science, we talk more practical ways to go about this. So make sure you are subscribed, because we're just getting started on this very important topic. If you are on Facebook, that means like this page and then change your notifications according to the instructions underneath this video. If you're on YouTube, similarly, hit the subscribe button and then also the notification bell. And on Talking Donkey International, if you're watching it there, we don't have a subscription yet. No. All right. So go to the podcast page and bookmark it, and that's how you'll find it day by day. May God bless you. May God bless you with good health, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm Steve Hicks, Director of Podcast Ministries for Talking Donkey International. This has been Something's Happening Here. May God bless you.